Wir sind live. Gut, hallo, schönen guten Morgen. Jetzt spreche ich auf Deutsch, but we're going to speak in English. We have the Latvia Bank here. We have two members of the team here. And we're going to talk about the Latvian coins of 2023, but also older in general. And maybe you introduce yourself quickly and you as well.
Hello, guten Morgen. I'm Edgars Zvirgzdiņš, senior art and design expert at the Bank of Latvia. And I work on curation and process with artists and mints.
Okay, how about you?
Yeah, I'm Arthur Arnolds, and I'm an artist and designer. And I've made one coin so far, but I'm also in a committee of bank for the coin design, basically. And I'm a member of that, and we decide what themes the coins should be made, and then which artists should we invite. And I've been with bank for some time, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some coins. First, maybe which should be interesting to everybody in the EU, the new European, the new €2 coins. Can you tell us something? There's going to be two coming out this year, or
Yes,
just one?
we hope that there's going to be two. On one, we are still waiting approval from Parliament on one question, so we can release the coin. But the other one, which we are releasing, is the Sunflower for Ukraine coin, which from which we are gonna donate the proceeds above the production cost to the Ukraine, the Welfare Ministry of Ukraine.
How many will be minted? What's the?
I think it's about 12 to 14,000, but I would have to double check it.
Okay. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
So. Do you think they will ever come into circulation?
We are releasing also circulation coins as well, and those usually we release 400,000 circulation coins as well. So those are going to be available in the rolls.
Okay, yeah. And then you also have another €5 coin coming also for called the Freedom of Ukraine.
Yeah, that was we just released that in December. So it's a new coin, and it is made by Serhiy Majduko, the Ukrainian illustrator, and for the process of the competition was that we invited 3 Ukrainian contemporary artists and 2 illustrators and for a closed competition, and that was in March or April, so we fairly quickly after the beginning of the war we started the process on the competition, and this idea that the freedom of Ukraine is like a responsibility of everyone. It is a shared responsibility. And Serhiy managed to, according also to the Ukrainian ambassador to Latvia, he said that the word "Volya," which is on the coin, is instrumental and integral part of the fight for the freedom at the moment, because it means freedom, power, and will. These 3 meanings of the word.
It's in one word.
Yeah, they are encoded in the one word, which is also part of the constitution and the anthem, as part of the words in the anthem and constitution. So this is very integral to their fight for freedom. And so the coin costs €75 and I think 5 cents, and €25 go to as a donation also to Ukraine, so everything above production cost, and I think it's a good way how to support Ukraine, and also if you gift it, it's also it's a shared gift to Ukraine as well. So I have been gifting them now, buying and gifting them to my friends, and as a way to support it. The cause.
And all of these coins, of course, one can see at the stand here at the fair.
Yeah.
We have some images of your stand that are, I think.
They were in the background.
In the background,
just now.
Exactly. And but talking about the stand, because here we come to you, Arthur. You did the stand design. Can you tell us a little bit about the stand? Here we see one of the examples.
Yeah, well, it was this year's Bank of Latvia centenary, so 100 years
Oh, okay.
anniversary, and in Latvia we did a big show for coins for this event, and we had an exhibition in art museum, and we exhibited the coins this way, and then these are the stands. Of course, we wanted to bring some part of it to Berlin to show you, and the idea was quite simple, you know. Usually when you need to display coins, you display two coins because you need to see one side and another. Yeah. And this is in a way unique way how to exhibit only one coin. If it's a piece of art, and in a way it is, I think it should be exhibited as one object, and it should rotate.
Yeah.
Either you rotate
Can you tell us something about the? Is it magnetism or is
it's
it?
magic.
It's magic.
Pure
okay.
magic, and and
wondering.
yeah, it's rotating, it's levitating, and it just catches your attention, you know, and then you fell in love in each individual coin, and then you can see the whole collection that we have at our stand.
Yeah, we also just saw actually the coin that you designed.
Yes.
And the coin that was awarded the Coin of the Year award in 2018 or 19, was it?
20.
20, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
it was
very
minted in 18.
Okay,
But,
and the
but
coin
the awards
award.
are like 2 years later,
Okay.
and then
Yeah, tell us about that. What's
it won the big award, the Coin of the Year, and the most artistic coin of the world. And the idea is it's a honey coin, and the idea is not directly as honey, but it's about sustainability and ecology, because if bees will disappear from the face of Earth in 4 years, so will humankind. And this idea was that we need to focus on environment, and we need to talk about the important aspects of it, and we need to preserve it, and the bees and the honey is the symbol of that. And,
right?
and I'm happy that, you know, people recognize it, and it's still very popular, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you also mentioned you're on the commission. Maybe just quickly give us an overview what the commission does and who's in it.
Yeah, but for the Bank of Latvia, we have 10 external kind of commission members, plus minus 10. And I'm an artist, there are designers, there are architects, there are scientists, there are illustrators, writers, so it's a different bunch of people from different backgrounds. And we come together once a month, and we decide on the themes that are important for Latvia, for the Bank of Latvia, for the world. And then we select the teams, we have long discussions, and we focus on artists. We invite artists for the competitions, Latvian artists, and then it's an anonymous competition, and then we select the winner, and then we develop the coin further. And what's important, what Edgar's mentioned, the Ukrainian coin, this is the first time the Bank of Latvia didn't select any Latvian artist, it was purely Ukrainian artists.
Okay, because you invited them for this
So
purpose.
And the €2 coin, the sunflower for Latvia, for Ukraine, was designed by Latvian artists. So it was like our sunflower for Ukraine.
For Ukraine, okay. Yeah.
So it was Krish Salmanis, who is a famous contemporary artist and as well as a graphic designer as well.
Okay. And you said the second one for this year is still hasn't still been decided on?
Yes, it's. We hope that we're going to release it either this year or next year, but we have to. We know what we want to have on it, but we have to wait for a decision.
Okay.
So
right.
a bit of mystery for our viewers.
Okay, well, we know next year, so
Yeah.
at the latest. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of the show. Also enjoy Berlin, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much
Thank
for
you for
inviting
having
us.
us. Yeah,
You're welcome.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
Meet Alpha 700P, the power player setting new standards. What makes it so special? There are many answers to that. It has a fast cooling system, which allows up to 25% faster cooling. This reduces process times and enables you to process more batches per day. Its new target shutter system protects your targets from contamination and increases efficiency by reducing cleaning efforts. Moreover, its dual evaporators offer you maximum reliability. With Alpha 700P, you get access to duplex technology that combines plasma nitriding and PVD coating in one single process, saving you valuable time. In addition, you achieve higher surface hardness. Alpha 700P makes SPCS technology available to you. SPCS reduces droplets, achieving ultrafine coatings. This extends your ARC coatings range. All of this is easy to operate due to the latest Alpha Control software with AMS interface. A process visualization shows you real-time process status information at the machine. Alpha 700P was designed to allow for more flexible positioning in your production layout. It works on a comparably small footprint, can be placed against a wall with its backside, and with the choice between single or split frame, you get even more flexibility for positioning. Alpha 700P, the power player, setting new standards.
voestalpine, one step ahead.
Welcome to the celebration.
Drei, zwei,
Say those dealers to US. How long have you been doing the race? Chicago.
Welcome to the celebration.
drei, zwei,
Say those dealers to US. How long have you been doing the race? Chicago.
Welcome to the celebration.
drei, zwei,
Say those dealers
Welcome to the celebration.
3, 2,
Yeah. Say those dealers. So US. How long have you been living in the race? Chicago.
Welcome to the celebration.
3, 2,
Yeah. Say those dealers. So US. How long have you been living in the race? Chicago.
Welcome to the celebration.
3, 2,
Yeah. Say those dealers. So US. How long have you been living in the race? Chicago.
Ja, hallo, hallo Herr, Entschuldigung, Dr. Majewski.
Hallo.
Sie kommen von der Münze Deutschland zu uns heute und präsentieren einige der neuen Produkte. Vielleicht stellen Sie sich erst mal kurz vor, das wäre sehr toll.
Gerne. Ja, mein Name ist Dennis Majewski. Ich bin seit 4 Jahren im Bundesverwaltungsamt bei der Münze Deutschland, wie wir seit 2020 ja heißen. Früher, viele kennen uns ja noch unter VfS, Verkaufsstelle für Sammlermünzen. Und ich bin dort für die Bereiche Münzwettbewerbe und für das Marketing zuständig.
Okay, super. Und wir waren ja auch bei Ihnen am Stand gestern und haben einige Impressionen eingefangen, die jetzt auch gleich zu sehen sein werden. Aber fangen wir doch auch, es ist lustig, bei der Latvian Mint haben wir auch mit den 2 Euros angefangen. Fangen wir doch auch mit den 2 Euros hier an. Die erste ist ja schon draußen für dieses Jahr, das ist die Hamburger Elbphilharmonie. Vielleicht können Sie ein bisschen was dazu erzählen.
Ja, also dieses Jahr startet ja die neue Bundesländerserie. Die letzte ist ja im vergangenen Jahr mit Thüringen ausgelaufen. Und wir haben jetzt die neue Serie, 2 Euro Bundesländer 2, wie sie sehr technisch heißt, aber die startet in diesem Jahr eben mit der Elbphilharmonie bzw. mit dem Bundesland Hamburg.
Genau.
Ja.
Und wie kam es zur Elbphilharmonie, dass sie als Motiv verwandt wurde?
Die Auswahl der Motive oder der Themen wurden von den Bundesländern tatsächlich vorgeschlagen. Also die Bundesländer konnten ihre Themen, die sie gerne drauf abgebildet haben, vorschlagen. Und wir haben es dann eben als Bundesverwaltungsamt dann umgesetzt, sozusagen.
Und das wurde dann auch ausgeschrieben oder wie läuft das von?
Wir veranstalten Wettbewerbe. Das ist auch eine meiner Tätigkeiten eben. Wir machen für jedes Münzmotiv oder für fast jedes Münzmotiv einen Wettbewerb, in dem wir in der Regel 12 Künstlerinnen und Künstler einladen, die dann Entwürfe einreichen und eine Jury wählt dann aus den eingereichten Motiven den Sieger aus. Und hier bei dem Wettbewerb ist es eben dann jetzt der Entwurf von Michael Otto geworden.
Ah ja, genau. Auch ein bekannter Name, der hat schon so einiges
Herr Otto
kreiert.
ist richtig, ist ein regelmäßiger Gewinner unserer Wettbewerbe. Jetzt in 2023 ist er sogar mit 3 Münzen im Programm vertreten. Also neben der 2-Euro-Münze hat er auch die letzte Märchenmünze, Hans im Glück, die ja jetzt auch schon draußen ist, gestaltet. Und er hat sozusagen unser Flaggschiff in diesem Jahr, die 100-Euro-Goldmünze, Faust, hat er auch entworfen.
Genau, da kommen wir auch noch drauf zu sprechen,
Genau.
richtig. Ja, bei den Grimms Märchen, das sprachen Sie gerade an, da ist jetzt die letzte Münze draußen. Wie viele waren das insgesamt?
Das ist eine gute Frage. Es müssten, glaube ich, in Summe müssten es jetzt 12 gewesen sein.
Okay.
Plus, glaube ich, das Auftaktmotiv mit den Gebrüdern Grimm.
Ja, ja.
Oder sind es sogar 18? Es ist schon auf jeden
Kein
Fall,
Problem.
es läuft schon sehr lange.
Wir können nicht alle Zahlen im Kopf haben.
Genau, ja.
Ja.
18 waren es vielleicht auch.
Genau.
Zweimal, ja.
Und als letztes haben wir jetzt, wie gesagt, das Märchen vom Hans im Glück.
Genau,
Das
Hans im
bildet
Glück
den
ist jetzt
Abschluss.
das letzte. Letztes Jahr hatten wir ja Rumpelstilzchen und jetzt ist mit Hans im Glück die Serie dann beendet.
Genau. Und alte Serien hören auf, neue fangen an. Genau, und da sind wir jetzt bei Faust. Also das ist, wie ich es verstanden habe, eine Serie über große Literaten oder Literatur.
Über Literatur. Also genau, die Serie heißt Meisterwerke der deutschen Literatur.
Aha.
Und wir rücken eben bewusst das Werk in den Vordergrund und nicht den Autor. Also der Autor oder die Autorin ist eher sozusagen tritt hinter dem Werk zurück. Und
Okay.
Genau.
Wie groß wird diese Serie sein?
Das werden insgesamt 7 Münzen.
Und das sind jeweils 100 Euro Goldmünzen.
Genau, das sind 100 Euro Goldmünzen,
Ja.
die halbe Unze Gold. Und
Wie gibt es da gibt es wahrscheinlich Vorbestellungen, die man tätigen muss? Wie läuft das ab?
Gold wird bei uns, wir haben eine Goldbestellfrist, die in diesem Jahr auch wieder von Anfang April bis Anfang Mai laufen wird, in der wir dann Bestellungen annehmen und dann wird danach dann die Zuteilung erfolgt, weil die ja meistens überzeichnet sind und dann eben nicht alle die bestellten Mengen bekommen können.
Wie ist das mit der Fluktuation im Preis von Gold? Ist das ein gesetzter Preis, den ich dann bezahle? Obwohl jetzt, wenn der Preis steigt oder so, wie ist das?
Ja, also unsere Preise werden zu einem bestimmten Zeitpunkt im Jahr festgelegt und wir haben allerdings letztes Jahr mussten wir reagieren, weil der Goldkurs sehr volatil war und wir als Bund auch sozusagen nicht unter Wert verkaufen dürfen. Ich denke mal, dass wir in diesem Jahr einen stabileren Goldpreis zum Preisfixing-Tag haben werden.
Ja, okay, gut. Was haben wir noch? Ach so, Sie haben auch mitgebracht eine neue Serie über Insekten.
Genau.
Genau, vielleicht erzählen Sie darüber etwas.
Die neue Serie 5 Euro in Wunderwelt Insekten ist ja schon letztes Jahr an den Start gegangen mit der Auftaktmünze Insektenreich. Es ist erstmals bei den deutschen Münzen der Digitaldruck verwendet worden. Das ist also im Gegensatz zu den 20ern, die wir ja auch schon, Silbermünzen, die wir ja auch schon koloriert haben, ein neues Druckverfahren, was uns in der Gestaltung etwas flexibler werden lässt als bei den 20ern. Und jetzt in diesem Jahr kommen 4 Stück, also quartalsweise raus und dann im nächsten Jahr in 24 nochmal 4. Also dass wir insgesamt 9 Motive haben in der Serie. Ja.
Und benutzen Sie beide Formen, also Digitaldruck und dann ist, glaube ich, Tampondruck,
genau.
Wie das heißt? Genau.
Also der Digitaldruck, den haben wir jetzt für die Insekten, für die 5 Euro verwenden wir den und den Tampondruck für die 20 Euro Silbermünzen.
Okay, also
nach
es
wie
wird
vor.
beides nach wie
Genau.
vor. Bei diesem Set, welche Münzstätten werden da prägen diese Münzen? Ist das aufgeteilt?
Ja,
oder?
das ist in dem Fall ist es aufgeteilt. Es ist nicht so, dass jede Prägestätte alles prägt. Wir haben die Insektenreich hat Stuttgart letztes Jahr gemacht und wir fangen jetzt mit dem Marienkäfer an. Das wird Berlin machen.
Okay,
Ja.
genau.
Und dann geht es immer so weiter
Durch die
ja, also als nächstes kommt dann der Schwalbenschwanz und die rostrote Mauerbiene und die gebänderte Prachtlibelle. Ja, man lernt da sehr viel.
Das glaube ich, ja. Wie ist denn das mit der Auswahl? Können Sie dazu was sagen? Wurden da Leute hinzugezogen, die sagen...
Ja. Also wir haben hier zusammengearbeitet im Vorfeld auch und dann auch im Auswahlprozess mit entsprechenden Wissenschaftlern und die haben uns sowohl im Vorfeld, also bei der Konzeption der Serie, als auch dann im Preisgericht, ich sagte ja schon, wir machen Wettbewerbe, auch im Preisgericht unterstützt als Preisrichter und darauf geachtet, dass also der 7-Punkt Marienkäfer 7 Punkte hat und dass bei der dass da alle Beine dran sind. Das ist man, also wenn man jetzt als Laie in dem Bereich natürlich unterwegs ist, ist es natürlich hilfreich und man ist auf jemanden angewiesen, der einem sagt, wie denn das Insekt nun wirklich aussieht.
Ja, das stimmt wohl.
Genau.
Und als letztes vielleicht noch kurz, ich habe auch gesehen, es gibt eine Brecht-Münze.
Ja.
Das ist eine Silbermünze zu 20 Euro?
Das ist unsere klassische 20 Euro Silbermünze,
Ja.
925er Sterling-Silber, die in wenigen Tagen ja erscheinen wird.
Okay.
Und die würdigt den 125. Geburtstag von Bertolt Brecht.
Von Bertolt Brecht,
Genau.
gut.
Ja.
Ja, gut. In diesem Sinne
Ja.
bedanke ich mich vielmals für Ihren Besuch hier bei uns und ja, wir hoffen, wir konnten einen kleinen Einblick geben. Dankeschön.
Gerne, vielen Dank.
Danke. And we're back. Okay, hello.
Hello.
I'm sitting down now with the Monet de Paris.
Yeah.
You've been at the show many years, a long time participant. Yes.
Well, we weren't there, but the company was there.
So yeah, maybe you introduce yourselves, and
Yeah.
then we can talk about some of the products for
Yeah.
23 and 24.
I'm Magali. I work at the company for like 10 years now almost, and I'm in charge of collection development with my colleague Julien. We are collection managers from marketing team.
Yeah, thank you, Magali. I'm Julian. I've been working at Monet de Paris for almost 20 years. And I'm also fully involved in product development. And I'm also a collection manager.
Okay, great. Well, we also visited your stand and filmed some impressions and also some of the coins that we're going to talk about.
Yep.
Yeah, let's start with the new series, the Gold of France. Maybe you can, Or de France?
Or de France, yeah.
The trilogy. It's
with pleasure. Actually, it's our new trilogy on these kind of coins ranging from a 20 euro silver to a 10,000 euro gold.
10,000?
Yeah, 10,000. It's a big one. We always try to have a nice trilogy involving interesting numismatic icons. So we just ended last year a collection which we'd call Nature of France, which was depicting the main vegetal items in French numismatics among a few centuries.
Okay.
And we wanted to find a brand new idea. And we thought that among French history, there are very important coins, not coins that are just linked to the basic history, but also, let's say, economical history. And so we decided to pay tribute to three main coins that had a very big structural influence on the French economy, each of them during their era. So the first one we are presenting this year is Napoleon, on which we are depicting a kind of renewed design of Napoleon III.
Yes. So it's based on the old coin design?
It's based on the old coin, but we have decided to gather obverse and reverse on one side, because the reverse is for the whole series of the three, and the reverse so has to have something in common with the three. So this one is, of course, about one of the icons of the empire. It was a type of coin that was already decided by his uncle, Napoleon I.
Yeah.
But the influence in the economy was even further and higher during the Second Empire. So that's why we decided to depict Napoleon III, which has a specific history with economics, because France was during its industrial revolution under Napoleon III and during this era. So this strong gold coin was an important key to the French economy during the Second Empire.
And can you tell us already who's going to be on the other ones?
I can tell you the eras.
Okay.
I cannot really tell you which coins will be depicted, but when I'll tell you about the eras, maybe you can guess it. Actually, we are going backwards, so we started with the most recent one, and after Napoleon III, we will go to old regime, so it's, let's say, the time of the Louis.
Yes, of the many Louis.
Louis kings from 13 to 16. So that's also a very iconic coin of French economic history that we will depict. And then we will finish with a very iconic coin from the Middle Ages.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so that's why the reverse depicts the three eras with a symbol, an eagle for the empire, a
flower, lys flower,
a fleur de lis for the old regime, and a quadrilobe for the Middle Ages.
Okay.
All gathered at the French flag in an hexagon. So many ways to read the coin.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it is. And the coins are beautiful, you know.
Yeah. And you brought the first one with you at the stand. Did you bring it here?
We don't have it here, but it's on the stand, so you should come and have a look to the booth. Yeah.
Yeah. And the second one is also. Well, it's a coin of everyday use. It can be, but it also features a legendary image. It's Oscar Ruti's The Sower. Tell us about that, please.
It's quite a funny story because this €2 coin is in the Olympics series. We have decided to have a series of the 4 years, each year depicting a very important numismatic icon, and each time this numismatic icon is doing an antique sport. So that was a nice combination to show the...
Wait, but she's not doing an antique sport, is she?
She's kind of doing an antique sport.
Okay, we'll get to that, yes.
Now we wanted to combine, the heritage of the Olympics and our heritage all together.
Yeah.
And for this year it's a sower doing a kind of boxing. Actually, she's doing pygmachia, which is the old type of boxing of antique Greece. But when you want to depict pygmachia, you would have to not to put gloves, and really in terms of aesthetics, we couldn't understand what she was doing. So we had to put some gloves, even though it's a bit anachronic. But in order to understand what she's doing, we had to put her gloves. But basically, she's doing antique boxing. And at first stage, people were a bit surprised by this idea, because having the sower boxing sounded quite strange. But we have to read it in another way. Yes, she's boxing. Yes, the sower is an icon from agricultural France of the 19th century. But still, even on the Euros, we did put the sower. So she has to carry our contemporary fights. So as we are in the 21st century, it's the Olympics, and she has to show that the women have to fight for their place, and that she's a kind of feminist icon in a positive way on the numismatic.
I will for sure.
So that's why we decided to combine that. It was not easy to explain at the first stage, but. We wrote a few texts about that. We explained also to the Roti family, which was also surprised. But when we explained, they understood the
idea and
allegory,
the
the idea, the concept, and now everyone is fine with that.
Yeah.
It's just a bit surprising at the start, of course, but icons have to last. Icons are not just stuck to an era. They are an icon of the country and have to move through history and be contemporary too.
Yeah. Wow. And actually that was the idea we had on the 2 previous years, because we also have Marianne in the series, and we have the genus, and so it will be the 3rd year with the sower, and next year we'll have Hercules, and we really wanted to show, how they're nowadays, and they're still with us and practicing sports with us. So that was the idea.
Yeah, and then maybe you can talk about the Olympic set.
Yeah, because you probably know that we're hosting the games in the summer 2024 in Paris, so this is going to be a major event for us. And Monet de Paris really wanted to celebrate the competition and everything, the values of the sport that are behind this competition. So I brought with me the mascots. This is the Frige, after the Frisian cap, which is quite famous in France. Yes. So it's a small, small red cap. Yeah, exactly. And we have collector coins actually on these mascots, and I have also brought the hexagonal shaped coin. This is also a series we started in 2021, and every year we launch a new design. Why hexagonal? Because you probably know that France, the shape of France, of the country, is actually called the hexagon.
Yes.
So for us, it was like a really easy, way to celebrate France. And actually, we really like the coin. So it's 10 silver and a gold one available, and it's the same design as the €2 that Julien explains. So yeah, we are.
So it also depicts the fighting soul.
Yeah,
Fighting soul,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. And actually already a success. So we're really happy about it.
What is the mintage of these?
It's actually a small one. I don't even remember the mintages, but really small one. And 10 silver is exactly. You're right.
Limited series.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really great overview. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Sort of
Yeah,
get
thank you
into
very
the
much for
details
inviting us, and
have fun at the show.
thank you, you too,
Thanks
and
very
feel
much.
free to come to the booth, and we're happy to present you the products.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here in this new format. I would like to welcome you on behalf of Barbara Balz, our Managing Director of the fair. She is, of course, tied up in other appointments, so me, as being the new kid in the team, I have the honor of welcoming you, and especially you, Danny, Charlotte, and Chris. It's a great pleasure of having you here. This is something brand new, a new format we're trying. Please excuse the setup, but it needs to look like in a TV production. So we have the green wall right here, and we have you as the audience sit around, and on screen it looks like everybody's sitting in a studio. The cover in the back is actually blue, so it looks pretty good. I know it's going to be a very interesting moment and a very interesting time for us here when Charlotte speaks about her family history and the operation. Wish you a successful presentation. We're all waiting, we're all anxious to see and to hear, especially. Do not be nervous at all. We're all friends. So have a great time with us, and especially for you. If you do have any question in the end, please don't hesitate to ask. They will all be answered. And afterwards, we have the chance to meet outside at a little reception for further question and answer. So have a great time, and welcome once again. Thank you.
So I guess my PowerPoint shows up right now. There we are. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. So yesterday, Kevin Ostojic and I, we were here to see his auditorium, and when we met Getz online on Zoom back last year, he said, well, this show, they've never done something like the ANA shows in America where you have all the clubs, they meet and all that stuff. They don't have that. But they said they're willing to have an experiment here in Berlin, and they were to give us an 800 people a seat auditorium. I said, wow. So if you look really closely yesterday, you could see Kevin right there, right up in the little dot right there. But then this auditorium is filled with life because the spirits of people like Hans Walter, Jack Plappler, and Adolf Berger from Operation Bernhard, they're with us in this great hall. But it's great to be here. It's really interesting. Our quick agenda, very, very short, is that I'm going to give a quick introduction after Getz already did. Professor Kevin Ostojic will give his quick introduction. Most of the time will be spent with Charlotte telling her story and the fantastic and very important Q&A. And then at 1 o'clock, well, we're a little bit behind schedule, we'll have time for coffee and refreshments, and so you all can meet and hug and take photos with Charlotte. And you can hug me too if you want, but it's no big deal. So, who am I? Generally, I'm a collector. I'm Danny Spungen. I'm a collector of people and things. And all my life, I've been a collector. And that also includes a collector of traditions. So why am I wearing this little hat? This hat came from Toplitzsee, Austria. And this is that place where they actually found the money in the sea of Toplitzsee Sea in Austria. Now, I was there looking for the money as well. I didn't find any, but I had a very good time. And I happened to be with the grandson of King Franz Josef, Marcus Habsburg, and Holocaust survivor Sam Harris, and Renata Stowasser. I had a great team of people back in 2009. Also, my tradition includes wearing a tie. In America, they wear less ties than in Germany, so I'm like the only one that's left wearing a tie in America. But I always like to tell people, as long as Fred Flintstone is wearing a tie, I'm going to wear a tie. When he takes it off, I'm taking it off. So that's about that. But so what inspired this book? Well, what inspired this book was the controversy or the discussion of letters being personal and money is not personal. And I said, wait a minute. The premise of the fact that letters and postcards are personal cannot be duplicated with money. And I said, why not? Why can't we look beyond the watermark and see the faces behind this money? And we did it. So we personalized the counterfeiters in Bernhard Kruger's workshop in Sachsenhausen. We gathered the descendants like Charlotte Kruger and Debbie Walter. And then we had some amazing authors and researchers like Professor Kevin Stoyage. And we were able to put a face on the money. We were able to use it for educational purposes. Take the money and see the faces of about 142 Jewish prisoners, Bernhard Kruger, who made this money. And teach the humanity using artifacts so kids have a chance to put something in their hands. It's fantastic. And this book is interactive. It's going to live on the website and through YouTube. And when you go to our website, you can see all the editions that will take place. And as a matter of fact, right as the book was being finished, a young man in South Africa said, my grandfather was in charge of the whole distribution network. How's the money distributed? He came with this fantastic graph, but we had no time to discuss it in the book. That's what makes this book so wonderful. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. And just on Thursday, this is fascinating for money collectors. Charlotte and I were at Sachsenhausen, and they have one employee that handles 30,000 artifacts. One employee in the archives. And very, very few people get to go inside the archives. And we got this special tour, and we found that they had two books. One book was from 1939, stamped from Sachsenhausen, and this is the book of how to counterfeit money and coins. This book is amazing. It's in German. The other book is a book made in 1944, the recipe book of how they counterfeited the Bank of England money. These books are just valuable that we need to expose these books for educational purposes, and they want to at Sachsenhausen. They just don't have the manpower right now. So the book is going to live on. The afterword is just the beginning. But in the meantime, this book is the encyclopedia, along with Lawrence Malkin's book, Kruger's Men. This book is targeted, number one, for students. And the book is very expensive, but a great group of people gathered money, and they made sure that for the first 274 students, they would get the book at an extremely big discount. And ironically, last August, a German family was visiting Chicago, and they passed the test. You must take a test. You got to be able to hold up the notes and teach me, after I give you a lesson, of how to easily detect what's probably a counterfeit versus a genuine. And this young lady, Friedrich, she passed the test. Ironically, her father's in the audience today. So it's really amazing. Our additional targets include history buffs, and of course, families researching their second, third, and fourth generation members, and of course, collectors. And for collectors, Joe Bowling, a tremendous numismatist, he did a chapter doing a diagnostics of the 28 ways to determine a counterfeit from a genuine. It's the first time in history a book like this was made. First time. When you have the diagnostics with the faces behind the money. So if students are the target, why did a book cost $117.09 just to produce and print? Nothing else, just production printing. If I care about the students, how come so much money? Well, we wanted to make this book. I put China way in the bottom if you look at the map. We have nothing against China and America. I know you hear about the trade wars and all these crazy, and now you get balloons flying over the skies of America. But the bottom line is I wanted to make this book in America, and it was basically handmade. And then the faces behind the book. Ladies and gentlemen, this is amazing because we found a printing company in Canada. They had no idea what we were doing. We just hired them. And the mother, the founder of the company, is a Holocaust survivor. So they became infatuated with this project, and we became friends ever since. It's just wonderful. It's called the Incredible Printing Group in Canada. They were just wonderful to work with, and I wanted to recognize what goes on to make a book in North America. And a lot of it's hand-stitched, handmade in 3 production lots. This book with slipcase, it comes with a die-cut center, so you can put your own Operation Bernhard note through my face right here. You can open it up and you can put your own note in there. It's just a very interactive book. And we use a lot of volunteer labor. So at the end of the day, the book is very expensive, but we make sure students pay a very, very low cost through contributions to our foundation. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kevin.
Hello, everyone. I go around the world and interview Holocaust survivors, and I try to capture their stories and then write their stories. And Danny Spungen contacted me one day and said he's making this book about Operation Bernhard, and because of the interviews that I conduct, he wanted to bring me into the team to conduct some interviews. One of the interviewees is sitting to my left, Charlotte. I interviewed Charlotte for the book. But basically, the challenge was to put a face on money. Danny said, everyone believes that there are faces on letters, historical letters. There are stories, readily identifiable people who wrote the letters, those to whom they wrote the letters, the stories in the letters themselves. The challenge is when you're given a note, a banknote, the question is, what is the story behind that banknote? And with these notes, we wanted to find out what is the human story behind the notes. That required doing research and interviews with the descendants of survivors. And for my work with respect to the book, I wrote primarily about 2 slave laborers who were in Operation Bernhard, one by the name of Jack Plappler and the other by the name of Hans Walter. Jack Plappler was someone who, if the Nazis did not come along, did not arrest him and his father and send him to Buchenwald, he would have become an opera singer. The 2 people to my left have heard him sing. I never got to meet Jack Plappler. He is long deceased. But they'll tell you that he had a wonderful singing voice. And he would have become an opera singer. That was his mission in life. But, as we know, that life was interrupted. He and his father were arrested, sent to Buchenwald. He witnessed his father being beaten up by SS men. He had to carry his father to the infirmary. When he went to visit his father, he was stopped along the way by the block elder who told him, "You can save yourself the trouble. Your father is dead." Jack Plappler was a painter and was sent from Buchenwald to Ravensbrück to do painting, and eventually was sent from Ravensbrück to Sachsenhausen, where he encountered an SS major who told the group, "I now have my Jews," and this was Bernhard Kruger, the man who, as fate would have it, saved the life of Jack Plappler. Jack Plappler was in charge of the serial numbers on the forged notes. He said he was counting all day, countlessly counting numbers, making sure that the right numbers were on the notes. It is there in Sachsenhausen that Jack Plappler met a different inmate by the name of Hans Walter. Hans Walter was from Berlin. His first forging was forging report cards, bringing report cards home that were not so good and changing them, and not knowing, of course, that it was that background of forging report cards to show his parents that actually would eventually save his life, because his forging background is what saved him from the line in Auschwitz. He was actually pulled out of the line to be exterminated and sent to Sachsenhausen because of his background with forging. And he had very good eyesight, and for that reason, he was put in charge of the inspection of the notes that were produced. They were put into different categories of how well they were done. And he was in charge of that process of making sure that the notes were impeccably forged. I wrote in this book about those two individuals, but ultimately, I was brought in to interview two other individuals. Debbie Walter, the granddaughter of Hans Walter, an adopted daughter. Debbie was adopted by her grandparents when she was 1 year old, so she referred to Hans, her grandfather, as her father. It's the only father she knew. And I interviewed Debbie, and then we had the opportunity to interview Charlotte as well. So actually, through the beauty of Zoom, I was able to interview Charlotte, who was here in Berlin, and Debbie Walter, who was in Florida at the time. I was, of course, very nervous to interview the granddaughter of Bernhard Kruger simultaneously with the granddaughter/adopted daughter of Hans Walter, someone who was on the other side, who was a slave laborer for Bernhard Kruger. We had a roller coaster of an interview. I think we went through every human emotion. There was laughter, there was tears, and ultimately what came out of this interview is that human beings are human beings. Everyone has a complicated story with their family. What I found and wrote about in this book was that we had two individuals who had lived their whole lives with this story. They did not inherit bags of money. Instead, they inherited a troubled history. And it's a history that both Debbie Walter and Charlotte Kruger have been dealing with for a good part of their lives. Debbie Walter does not remember a time when she did not know about the Holocaust. She remembers telling kids in her kindergarten class about the Holocaust because that's all that her grandfather/adopted father would talk about. She would then accompany her grandfather, to talks, all to schools, all over, telling the story of Operation Bernhard, to the point where she became saturated with the reality of human frailties, the evil of humankind, to the point where she wanted to escape from this reality. She escaped through the use of fiction, fantasy, science fiction. All she wanted to do was escape in the world of Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, the Chronicles of Narnia. She had had enough of the Holocaust. Flip side, we have with us today Charlotte Kruger, who had a wonderful interaction with her grandfather while he was still alive. She did not know that her grandfather was the infamous Bernhard Kruger. All she knew was her grandfather was a handsome man who always had candies ready when she visited, always clean-shaven, smelling of the aftershave, as well as mixed with smoke and a raspy smoker's laugh. She idolized her grandfather. She loved visiting him. Then, when he passed away, her father told her the truth. The truth was that Bernhard Kruger had a long life of telling lies. The fantasy world that Charlotte was living in was shattered. And from that point on, she's been moving from that fantasy into a darker reality. So Debbie Walter and Charlotte Kruger, both inheriting this troubled history, went on different journeys. One from the troubles of reality, escaping into fantasy. The other starting with the fantasy of the interactions with their grandfather to the realities of dealing with the Holocaust. That was my involvement. That was my challenge, to bring the human story, the face, to these faceless banknotes. Let's hear now about Charlotte's journey from that world of fantasy into the dark world of reality.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Danny. I'm glad to be here at the World Money Fair today. I never knew there was such a thing as a World Money Fair, but the story that I'm bringing to you today is neither fair, nor is it really about money, because it's about fake money. And in the middle of this story, as you know by now, was my grandfather. This is Operation Bernhard, named after Bernhard Krüger, who was my grandfather. And the whole story, in the center of the story, there are these banknotes. They are the British pound notes from 1937. And it always strikes me as weird that it's just paper. I mean, the fakes as well as the real money, it's just a piece of paper. And it's only this powerful tool in our economy because we have all agreed that it's worth something. So my grandfather, when he started to counterfeit this currency, he wasn't a criminal who tried to enrich himself and get the money to spend it for his own interest. The thing is, he turned it into a weapon. And the target of this weapon was the trust into this currency. So he wanted to destroy the British economy by destroying the trust into the currency and cause an inflation, which was a powerful thing to do. And he knew quite well how powerful it was. So let me tell you a little bit about the biography of my grandfather before I get into the Operation Bernhard story. So this is my great-grandfather, Franz Krüger, born in 1878, which was the time of the German Kaiserreich. And my mother, who is a history teacher, and she also found her way here today, she explained me a little bit of the Kaiserreich, because the thing is, when you have a grandfather who was a high-ranking Nazi officer, of course you want to understand, why did he do it? Why did he join? Who was he, really? And I can't fully answer that question. I can put some pieces together, and some pieces that help me understand his stories I want to share with you today. But his story is not as coherent. I can only put together the coherent parts. There will always be something left that I don't know, that I don't understand. But what I do understand, he was born into the Kaiserreich, and that was a society where you didn't have any upward mobility. You were either born poor or you were born into a noble family. The only way to move up the social ladder was to join the military, and this is what my great-grandfather did. And this is also what I know from my mother, is that my grandfather was insisting that my great-grandfather was pushing a lot of pressure onto my grandfather, that he should also become a member of the military, also do something out of his life, move up, become a state employee or something good, learn something, be more than just a worker. So that's what my grandfather, of course, tried to do. And he, as you can see from this picture, which was taken in 1908, so probably in 1908, my grandfather, he's the larger one, he idealized the military. He was born in the barracks in Riesa, and I'm showing you this picture so that you can see what the military meant to them. But then, and even after the World War I, where my great-grandfather also had to had to fight, they idealized the military. But then everything falls apart after the end of World War II, and this giant inflation crisis is starting. This is a collection of my great-grandfather. He collected all the banknotes that were issued then. They reflect the story of the inflation. It starts with a one Reichsbank note, and it's getting into the hundreds, thousands, even millions of Reichsbank. And this caused a big economic crisis. And when my grandfather was the age of 18, everything had fallen apart. The Kaiserreich was gone, economy was, the inflation was running away, and it was a really, really hard time. So he knows what it means to a society and to everyday people if you have a currency crisis like that. The money was worth nothing in the end. It was even used for children to build a kite, as this picture shows you. So my grandfather knew what impact a mission like this could have. Now, fast forward to 1932, he joins the NSDAP, the Nazi Party, and also the SS. He met Reinhard Heydrich, who then had built up the intelligence service inside the SS. It was called the SD, Sicherheitsdienst. There he learned how to be a radio operator, and later he was in charge of the counterfeit department of the SD. Fast forward again, 8th May 1942, he meets Walter Schellenberg. Walter Schellenberg, back then he was, I think, the age of 32 years old. He was the head of the Sicherheitsdienst of the SS, so the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service of the SS. He orders my grandfather into his office and tells him, I've got a new mission for you. And this mission is counterfeit the British pound note so we can throw them out of planes over the UK in order to cause an economic crisis. Now I know this, that it was on 8th May of 1942 and all these details, because my grandfather later wrote this down. So what he also noted down was, after he received this order from Walter Schellenberg, that he drove back and he thinks, what am I doing here? I mean, is this something, is it okay to do this? And then he says to himself, well, this is a total war. Any means are okay. And who knows, maybe the British over there are already right now forging the Reichsmark to use it against us. He was sure they wouldn't hesitate to do it. So he felt justified because he thought his enemy probably was as bad as themselves. But let's see what the British thought back then. Actually, in 1939, this is when the first counterfeit operation was started. It was called Operation Bernhard, so Operation Andreas. So my grandfather wasn't the first Nazi to try and do this. There was a Operation Andreas started in 1939, but they stopped it, and then later reinstated somebody else, my grandfather, to try and do it again. So at that same time, when the war had just started, Winston Churchill, he was Lord of the Admiralty. He suggests, what is this now? He writes to the finance minister, John Simon, back then, my dear John, I hear from many quarters about a plan for scattering forged notes of marks in bundles or tempting little packets in Germany from our aeroplanes. I cannot fully think out the consequences of this, but I should think it would be just as good as leaflets. I should very much like to know how it strikes you. So they have thought of it as well, just like my grandfather presumed. However, they came to a different conclusion. By the way, I know this. I've received these papers. I didn't find them myself in the British archives. They were discovered first by the brilliant journalist Lawrence Malkin, who also contributed a chapter to this book before he died, and his researcher, Margaret Shannon. They were the ones who dug out these papers and now shed some light on the British version of this story. So they are, after Winston Churchill writes this letter, they are discussing it within the Ministry of Finance. And there are a couple of notes on this. I can't go into all the details, but here are the reasons why they didn't do it. One is the difficulty with forged currency the difficulty always is to introduce it into the circulation, because they were afraid that the Germans in the totalitarian state that they lived in would hand it in to the authority instead of spending it. Also, second reason, it is very unlikely that the forged notes would not be distinguishable from the genuines under expert scrutiny. So these notes have to be perfect if you do it. So you better be sure when you do it that you can do it right. And then in the end they say, if the trouble caused were found to amount to anything, the Germans would probably retaliate in kind. We should then cry quits. We could then cry quits, except the discredit would be on us. So they did shy away from it. They weren't like my grandfather, like we can do it and we don't care because the enemy is as bad. They weren't. So they didn't do it. So there are two parts in this operation. There's the distribution of the money and the production of the money. The distribution part, I can't tell you anything about it. But my grandfather, he was in charge of the production. And once he had this mission, he wanted to do it right, because he knew as well that if you do it, these banknotes better be very good. So the question is, how good were they really? I'm not an expert like Danny to know all the details, but there are a few things that I found out during my research. So he started in 1942. And this is from the Bank of England archives. When counterfeits came circling in back then, they noted them, they analyzed them, and just tried to find out how good counterfeits were at this time. And these quotes show you that the paper was key, because the forged note that was circulating back then, I don't know if they came from Operation Bernhard. Maybe they were made by Nazis, maybe they were made by criminals. It doesn't matter, because I'm reading this to you to point out how important the paper was at that time, because the counterfeit notes that were circulating back then, they all had one flaw. That was the paper. And even though you may not be, you probably are, but most people are not aware that you know how money is supposed to feel. You will instantly feel it if the paper is not right. So they had to figure out how to do the paper. And not only the feel of the paper, but also how it looks like under the quartz lamp was a very important thing to figure out, because paper looks very different under the quartz lamp. As you can see in this example, I took it at a forensic institute in Lausanne, where they showed me this. So this was the biggest task my grandfather had, because in fact these old British banknotes, they weren't remotely as sophisticated as today's money is. They had the printing. It was just the same. It was like a stamp. It was like books were printed this way. Like you need a printing plate, you put some ink on it, and then you push it onto the paper. Also, they had the watermarks. They had to figure that out. That's not as easy as well, because the paper shrinks when you put in the watermark, and then when it dries, it shrinks. So it has to shrink exactly into the correct position that the watermark has to be in the end. So he did a lot of tests, and he used the expertise of the people in Hanemühle paper mill. It still exists until this day. And they were running a lot of tests with this quartz lamp and trying to figure out how to produce a paper that is similar to the British original banknotes. And they did a pretty good job on that one. The printing plates. So they also had to fake the printing plates. It was a job of precision, I think, and Germans were good at precision at that time. It was done a special unit of the Sicherheitsdienst, and they had the help of civilian engravers also. They were just politely asked or forced, I don't really know, to contribute their expertise to this work. They always had to sign a paper that they wouldn't talk about it, because this was a secret operation. That's why it's called Operation Bernhard. They couldn't call it Operation Counterfeit Money because it was a secret operation and a tool in war. How much time do I have left? Okay, I'm at printing plates, and now we're also details matter, because there were some signs in the printing plates, like this little, seemingly a mistake. It was actually put there on purpose by the Bank of England, because most forgers wouldn't see that the lines that were connecting there, that it was always like this. And if you correct it, then at the Bank of England, this was like a secret sign to discern real from fake banknotes. This is something my grandfather told a journalist after the war. That's why I know it. So this is the watermark. It was produced also by a German company, Kufferat. It still exists to this day. Then next thing was the code. We don't know whether they had figured out the code. Probably not. They were probably just imitating codes that they knew existed, because the code was a combination of a 4-digit number, and then as here in this one, it is a K106. So it was a combination of numbers and figures, and it was hard to find out. So, but they probably got lists somewhere and then just imitated the code. And Jacques Plapla actually was in charge to print the code onto the banknotes. Okay. To give you an idea of the scale of this, now I have to look into my cards because this is too small. Of the scale of this operation, it's like back then the British pounds note, the Bank of England backed their own currency with gold, and they had 22 million pounds of gold, worth of gold in store. And the total sum of money that was produced by Operation Bernhard was 132 million. So it was worth a third of what the Bank of England had in stock worth of gold. So it was massive. Now of that 132 million, only 10 million were first choice, because when they produced the money, they had 4 categories, and the first choice was the one without any flaws. They had second, third, and fourth. They used it for different purposes. Anyway, now the real dark part of the story starts when we look at how my grandfather created the workshop to print all these banknotes, because that was not done by German SD members or German specialists, paper specialists or something. It was done by Jewish prisoners. And he went to the Sachsenhausen concentration camp near Berlin, which was you can see that it has a special design. But on the top corner, there are 2 barracks where they set up the workshop, and it was completely isolated from the rest of the camp, because obviously all the workers in this workshop were never able to get out, because they didn't want anybody to know about this secret operation, because it had to be secret, otherwise it wouldn't work out. That also meant that all the men who were working there for my grandfather, all the Jewish prisoners who were specialists on also painters and paper specialists, so they had skills that were useful for my grandfather, that they would only live as long as there was work for them, because they knew, they had seen what the Nazis were up to. So it was clear to them that they could never survive, they would never be released from this. So they had this death sentence already dangling over their heads. And that's when they met my grandfather, so they came in from different camps. And my grandfather was in charge, and he met them, and he had a special way of handling this. Because when you are doing a lot of hard work in a concentration camp, you can push people to do it. But this is a very specified work, so he also tried to manipulate people so that they would do the work well. So he was actually quite kind to them. This is what I know from various survivors, and this is now where I'm closing the story and it gets personal, because of course that's a thing in my case. I knew my grandfather, I liked him, he was a kind man to me, kind grandfather. And on the other hand, he was involved into this massive criminal state. And he was not just involved, he was a high-ranking SS officer, he was a Sturmbannführer in the end. So how do I bring these two people, these two identities together in my mind and in my soul? How can I get a grip on that? And it's really hard. But what helped me a lot was when I met one of the survivors of Operation Bernhard, because the fact is that almost all men survived because my grandfather made it so that they had work as long as the war was going on. It was maybe not just because of compassion, but also because he could save his own neck. Because as long as he was needed, they were needed. So it was a bit of a mutual situation that he had an interest that the Jews would survive as long as it gets. And when I met Jacques Plapla, first of all, he was a kind old man. I was very afraid when I first met him, but he made it so easy for me. And the ambivalence that I have towards my grandfather, he had it too. Because he tells me stories about how Bernhard Krüger was quite respectful to them. When he came in and shook his hand, he always slipped in a pack of cigarettes for him. And I think when you're in a situation like that, when you are in an isolated barrack doing this work, knowing that by the time this work is finished, you'll be dead, I think you need hope in order to be able to survive. You need to see one chance of survival in order to survive this mentally. And I think my grandfather gave this to them, because the way he treated them, he gave him hope. And that's what they used. And he knew it, so it was you could say it's cynical, but I think that's just the way it was. And now he was 1947, they were liberated, he was hiding for a couple of years, and then after a while he turned himself to the British, and later he was handed over to the French and prosecuted. But forging money wasn't a war crime. So he was released after 2 years. And as I said before, when I grew up with him, I didn't know about him. So it was a long struggle to find out who is this man. It was also something that we kept fighting about in my family all the time. And so I will just read to you 3 quotes of his prisoners that give you, I think, a good overview of how ambivalent this man was. So Moritz Nachtstern, he writes in his memoir, Krüger was just as charming and polite in uniform and as he has been as a civilian. One would have thought that we were a delegation of esteemed guests and not 8 ragged prisoners. So this goes along very well with how the way Jackie described him. Then we have Peter Edel. He looked behind all this kindness and says he was a gangster boss, slippery as an eel, which probably was also true, strangely at the same time. And then Abraham Krakowski, another survivor, he said, "We did not know if Krüger intended to save us out of the goodness of his heart or if he was trying to prepare a case for after the war. But in any case, I mean, a lot of Nazis at that time didn't want to be involved into mass killings any longer because they were afraid to be prosecuted. So that might indeed have been a reason for my grandfather to try and keep them alive. And he succeeded. And in fact, I'm very thankful that he succeeded. I don't think he was a hero, but if he hadn't succeeded and those 140 men had been killed, he would have been a war criminal. And I don't know how I could have dealt with that. So thank you for listening, and yeah, thank you for being here. That's it.
So now we go to the question and answer session. I hope that this conversation has generated questions in the audience. But I do want to ask two questions first from myself, and then we'll hear from all of you. Charlotte, you are a journalist.
Yes.
You spend your time interviewing people and writing their stories. But for this project, you were on the other side. I was interviewing you. What was it like for you as a journalist to have the tables turned that way and to be on the other side of the interview?
I hated it, of course. No, it's really, it's hard to be answering questions as a member of a Nazi family, because in that time I don't have my usual role. I'm not the one who's asking the questions, but I'm the one who is then identified as part of the Nazi history. And that's a painful thing. So that's probably also why this conversation was so emotional, because I think, yeah, I mean, Debbie was on the other side, but still, it's a painful story that we both share. And it's easier for me to deal with it when I'm working on the information. When I'm in my investigative role as a journalist, I'm trying to find the facts and the papers, and I'm hunting down, witnesses, and this is something that helps me deal with it, because I'm focused on the facts. I know that Debbie had a different way, because she was using, escaping into the fantasy world with Superman and everything. I can relate to that. It wasn't my way, but I can totally understand why somebody would handle it this way, and that's why I had sympathy with her, and also for other reasons. But yeah, so it's strange to be on that side.
And you brought up Debbie and her being on the other side. I'm wondering, were there any aspects of the interview that you found surprising when hearing from Debbie, her story? Anything that surprised you, or things that resonated with you that continue to this day?
Yeah, I think the Superman story, that she said that she was so into all these fiction stories, and I mean, we talked about that then too, that it was probably, I don't know if she was so conscious about that at that time, that this was a way for her to deal with it. And then later on, when her dad/granddad always took her to, because he was talking about, that's the difference between her and I, that she could accompany her grandfather when he was talking about his history. I didn't get that chance. I had to use other ways. But it was also a burden for her, right? So, I don't know. I still wish I could have discussed this with my grandfather, I have to say. But yeah, it's just that when I was 10 years old, he died, so I didn't have the chance.
Well, I have had ample opportunity to ask Charlotte questions, but this is the first time for all of you. So the man in the corner there.
Alex.
Yeah. And Charlotte, I'm most curious. You showed a collection of inflation era paper money from your grandfather. And so I wondered, would you say he was interested in paper money in general? Was he a collector, or was this just something interesting he kept as a young man?
No, it was this collection came from my great-grandfather. He wrote a little chronicle of his family, and there he put this money in. I think my grandfather only came to be interested in stamps and paper money when he started out as the director of the counterfeit unit in the SD. But from then on, he was a big-time collector. He had a big collection of stamps, and he also introduced us to the stamp collecting business as children, which was very nice. I remember it. And yeah, so but he only came into this world through the Nazi operation, as far as I know.
So I couldn't help but see some similarities with Schindler's List and how he saved a lot of people's lives by working on a project for the Nazis, which I think ultimately did not result in the Nazis successfully using what they did. How successful was ultimately Project Bernard?
It depends on how you define success, I suppose. Well, as far as I know, the Bank of England had real trouble discerning the counterfeit money from their own. There were counterfeits that were really, really well, and the way they detected some of them was that they had a list, a long book with serial numbers in there, and once the money came back, cycling back in, they marked it that it came in. And then they found that some serial number came in that had also already been marked. So they knew, okay, one of this is fake, but which one? So it was hard, but I don't have a way to really find out how well they are. Maybe Danny can say it because he's more into the details of counterfeiting. I'm not so much an expert on that. But my grandfather was very, very proud on how well these banknotes were, and they were. But on the money distributing side, well, what is success? They did use the money to bribe foreign agents and all kinds of purchase stuff that they couldn't get any longer abroad. So they did use the money for all kinds of purposes, also by this way distributing it. But the big plan of scattering it over the UK was never carried out, as far as I know, because they didn't have enough fuel and enough planes left in the end. But I don't really know for sure why they never did it.
Pudding? Oh, okay, fine. Charlotte, I have a question here because we're on a coin fair and the banknotes resulting from Operation Bernhard are very well known amongst the collectors community, and you can find them in many, many collections. How do you feel collectors should interact with these notes, knowing the history behind? What are your thoughts and feelings on that?
Well, I think they are historical documents and they should be handled with care and collected. That's it. I mean, they are kind of witnesses to history only. Yeah, it's documents. Documents are holy to me.
You have two more? So 1, 2.
Now that the question arose how collectors, should deal with them, I'm curious. You mentioned your grandfather did build up a collection of money and stamps post-war. Did he actually get some of the fake banknotes after the war in his collection? Did he have some?
Yeah, I do have some because he met with Hans Fricke, which was a diver. He was a biologist, and he got the permission to dive in the lake. It was hard to get a permission to dive in the lake later on. For those who don't know, probably everybody knows, but a lot of the banknotes were dumped into the lake and lake Toplitz in Austria after the war. And then Hans Fricke invited my grandfather to go down with him in this Tauchkugel, in this little submarine thing, and to look at what remained of his big Operation Bernhard. And he was, I think he was really happy that Fricke invited him to do it, and that's how he got some of the money. Now, did he get some of this money to the side for himself after the war, is what I was asked myself. I sure didn't inherit any of that, but maybe he had some. But I think he either spent it or lost it in the years after the war ended, because as I said before, he lived in hiding for a while. So I don't know, maybe he tried. What I do know is that since he was also a specialist on forging passports, he was a very popular man in the ending days of the war, because all the high-ranking Nazi officers wanted fake passports in order to go away. And that's what he did in his final days. How many papers did he still have, and was he able to carry with him? I don't know. It was chaos. It's hard to say, and he didn't write that down. He wrote a lot of things down, but not, I kept a bundle of banknotes with me. If he did, I don't know. It's really, I don't know. I don't have reason to believe that he didn't, but I sure have no reason to believe that he did. I just don't know.
Charlotte, if I understood you right in your lecture, you are not sure who was your grandfather really, because you presented 3 versions of your grandfather in quotations. And I want to ask you, how old had you been as you found out that the story or the image of your grandfather wasn't right? And what was the first feeling as you got your first doubts?
There was no such moment, because we've been always debating inside our family. And I found out about the story when my father one day, I was about 13 years old, I think, maybe 12. I don't really know for sure. And he put all the papers that he had on the table and said, children, I'm going to tell you today who your grandfather was. And he was very precise as to the facts. But we could also feel that telling the story to us was painful for my dad. So this is the strongest memory that I have, that my father was in pain at that moment, and I don't want to push so much. But from then on, within our family, we always had these 2 sides of him. And once I'm the advocate of the nice grandfather, and then next day I'm the advocate of the bad Nazi guy in him. So we always debated this. We were a family who was able to fight a lot about this. And my mother has still a different way to look at him as my father had, because, yeah, of course. I mean, my father was the son, so he had another emotional ties to him. But he was also, my grandfather was tough on him. So he was ambivalent. We are all ambivalent. The ambivalence is a constant in our family when dealing with this. So this moment didn't exist. But when I come back to the question that we had earlier about Schindler, I once met with Michel Friedmann, whose parents were they were on Schindler's List. So he lives because of Oskar Schindler. And he said to me, you know, the difference is Oskar Schindler risked his life to do this. And I'm not sure if my grandfather did that. And I wouldn't compare it, and I don't really feel like my grandfather was a big hero, but he had, at a certain point, he had the chance to do the right thing, and he did the right thing, and I'm glad he did. Does it make him a hero? I don't think so, but he did, and that's a fact, and I'm really glad that this is the way things turned out to be.
I would like, if I could, just one minute, just to bring Jack Plappler back in.
Yeah.
Because I think Jack Plappler should be brought in as much as Bernhard Kruger. But there's one story that may be of interest to this audience who loves money. Imagine this. Jack Plapler, as I said, wanted to be an opera singer and had a wonderful voice. And one thing that the inmates did in Sachsenhausen was they would put on variety shows in the evenings. And often the actual guards would watch and be the audience of these shows. And Jack Plapler actually sang during these shows. And apparently, this had a double purpose. Not only was it something to keep the spirits up amongst the inmates, but also it allowed for other inmates to go into the guard offices while the performances were going on and listen to the radio to try to find out what was going on in the war, which they could then tell everyone else. So Jack sometimes had to spontaneously come up with new verses to some of the songs he was singing because he wanted to make sure that people had enough time to listen and get out. But what's of interest to you all is he said, you know what the stage was? The stage was boxes, crates full of these notes. So he said, here we are, concentration camp inmates, and yet we are performing on the most expensive stage in the world. So unfortunately, I was never able to hear Jack Plapler's voice, but I know from Charlotte and Danny, and he lived not too far away from here to the end of his days. It was a voice that was clear and beautiful, and I think good to bring his voice at the end of this as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to end this real quick by going backwards a little bit. I should probably say that I have probably the largest collection in the world of Holocaust postal history and money in private hands. And what I do is I go to schools all around the world, China, Greece, Netherlands, Belgium, all over the world with this collection, and I'm the appetizer. The main course is I bring survivors with me everywhere I go around the world. And now that these survivors are passing away at alarming rates very, very quickly, it's now the second generation or a third generation people. So this week, for example, I'm in Berlin, and we're here as a trial of how to go about future exhibits. But Monday and Tuesday, we'll be at the John F. Kennedy School in Berlin with students, both Monday and Tuesday. Charlotte spoke in the American ANA World's Fair of Money in August 2015. But when she was there, she went to schools and to the Holocaust Museum, speaking to many, 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 hundreds of people. Now in Maastricht, the Money Show that's coming up in April, I've never been there, but again, I'm doing another experiment with them. This time I'm flying in Debbie Walter to be on stage with Charlotte, and the goal is to have Kevin as well be the moderator. And then we'll go to schools throughout the Netherlands. So we do this around the world, and it's our pleasure, and we want to bring this different niche, a different way of introducing this breakdown of humanity, because World War II is a breakdown of humanity. Yes, there was, quote, the Holocaust, but in a much broader sense, and more important point, is that this really was a breakdown of humanity all over the world, on the world stage. So I'm honored to have people like Debbie Walter and Charlotte Kruger who will share their stories to teach children to evaluate these breakdowns of humanity. On that note, we're going to be out. Oh, by the way, I should probably say I only have about 5 books left. It's a really incredible book. It's a really important book. Severely discount. We sell below cost here at the show. And if you cannot buy at the show, you can buy online. Art Friedberg's company, they sell online. But here, for the last 5 books we have, it's 115 euro, which is below cost. But it's our honor to do that. As a nonprofit, we want to bring this story out to the massive public. But thank you. So we can all go out and have some coffee and drinks and say hello to Charlotte. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Now we have the Lithuanian Mint
Yes.
at our table. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Donatas. I'm managing director of Lithuanian Mint. Freshly assigned, actually. I just started in October last year. But already hands-on on this industry and everything. So from the perspective and liability of origin, what we are doing, I would say that Lithuanian Mint is a state minting company.
So you do the coins that are circulating?
We do circulation coins. We do memorable or collective coins of the Lithuanian National Bank. Also, as a state-owned company, we do for on tender basis or agreement basis collection coins for the other banks or circulation. So we have.
Can you say which countries?
I would say that we have partnership. Many coins you also can find here in Latvia's Bankas booth. We do for Latvia's Bank, for Estonia, for Armenia, for Georgia. It were history with Slovenia and so on. So we are just part of that, but we are a niche player in the mint industry. We are a small one. And where we perfect fit our is technology and quite limited numbers on the volumes. When it's best, where our setup allows to us to be and also competitive and to offer the best service.
Yeah. So you brought some coins with you, and one of them is the coin for Ukraine. Maybe you can say a little bit about it.
The coin for Ukraine it's a coin with Lithuanian National Bank as an order from us, and the story behind this that all the money of the price, excluding the nominal of 10 euros, they all were donated to Ukraine. So it was 6,000 coins, limited number, and it was collected like 350,000 euros and transferred to the funds to support Ukraine. So that's a gesture from Lithuanian National Bank to support the Ukrainian National Bank.
Okay.
So this this is sample that we have other topics actually also, and so far as I know that we will have also for this topic €2 circulation coin.
That's right. What will the imagery be about on them? Can you tell us yet? Or?
It's on the National Bank website already announced, so you can visit. And yes, this coin will be there. So we should leave some mystery behind to people to research, to wait and to
wait and see.
Wait and see.
Okay. So, but like you said, you have the state business of producing coins, but then you also have a private part, so to speak, or you have a how would you describe it?
Not private venture, but independent venture.
Independent, yes.
Well, I would say that where we use our competences, our design capabilities, production capabilities, technology capabilities, and we are creating also our own initiatives, which when we have a full cycle, and also as a producer or including designers or something, we also on the business basis can deliver to, for example, different coin distributors on their own brand. So.
And you've brought a new series that just came out this year?
Yeah, this is a series, a very fresh series. It's a Vault of Cryptids. So every region or country is assigned to a cryptid.
Okay.
So we are now issuing 1 coin per month to collect the 12 coins per year and to have all the setup on the map like a collection.
Yes, when we were at the stand, we also saw different cards belonging to each coins and packaging. You have a special packaging.
Yeah, it's also packaging, and also it's a hint. Behind there is a hint. You do not know where to place the next cryptid or something, but yeah, you should dig a bit and to have more interest actually, and to find out.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything other that you yourself maybe find interesting that's going to be coming out this year?
you know, this business is quite tough actually, and I rather keep for myself many things.
Yes.
Much more than I would like to tell, because, for example, last autumn it was incredibly high offer on the market, and so it was overproduction, I would say. So it should be keep on the lower level, but maybe we are just considering that maybe we have cold beetroot soup, very traditional Lithuanian, on the pink color, and we have a coin dedicated for that.
Okay, yes.
So on the summer season, might be we will reissue this.
Okay, and that's when you would have the soup?
Yeah, it's a summer season soup. Right? So like a summer spritz and a winter spritz different. So in a winter time you have a cold, warm beetroot soup, and it's incredibly strange for many because it's in pink color.
Okay.
It's a pink soup.
Not for all men, but
no, not for all.
Not for modern men.
Yeah, and then the others actually, like what we did with coins, we still have. We issued the coin of even 1 kilo silver coin, the rabbit for the Chinese New Year.
Yes.
Last year we had 1 ounce and 2 ounces tiger, and this year we have 1 ounce, 2 ounces, and 1 kilo. And 1 kilo is actually already sold out.
Did you sell it here too? Did you bring it to the shop?
No, we bring it, but we are selling on our website.
Yeah, that's the main
website
business.
Because it's much easier to arrange all the delivery and to be sure.
You ship all over the world?
Yes, we do ship all over the world. It's kind of no problem.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that little insight for our viewers. And
thank you for the invitation.
Have still a great time here in Berlin.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. Okay, and we're back. We're back with Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
You are the mint director of the largest mint in the world.
Yes, I am.
Yes, and you were appointed just last year. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Maybe, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you became the director. What's your... Well, you started out as in the Navy, as I know.
When I came out of high school, I joined the United States Navy during the Vietnam era. When I came out of the Navy, I began working with the federal government that was hiring women veterans, and all veterans, but particularly so because I was a woman vet. And from there, grew my career within the federal government, first with the Department of Veterans Affairs, where I have such a deep love and appreciation for our nation's veterans. And from there to the Federal Aviation Administration, I was an air traffic controller in the Navy.
Okay.
And so it was kind of ironic that I ended up with the FAA. After 35 years, I retired from the federal government, received a number of requests to come back, and thus I did, and ended up being nominated by the President Biden, for the current position that I'm in.
Right.
And really, it has been a tremendous opportunity and honor to serve.
So we can jump right into it. You're a veteran yourself. How's your connection to the veterans programs that the Mint has?
Very much so. In every position I've occupied from the time that I was in a managerial role, I've made sure that I have brought about veterans programs, either from employment or services that we provide. When I joined the United States Mint, one of the key questions I asked is how many veterans are in coins, and just overwhelmed by just the various, the miniature arts, the canvases of the different wars, the different contributions to different military services. And so we continue. Our most recent program was Purple Heart, which was a commemorative program authorized by Congress. And we, one of the best sellers, just really recognizing veterans who have given their lives or sacrificed for others. And just something that we're really proud of.
Yeah. Another new issue is going to be, or new program, there is the American women quarters.
Yes,
series?
yes.
Yes, and we have already one coin in circulation.
That's correct.
Which is a pilot named Bessie Coleman.
Bessie Coleman.
Yes.
The first Native American and African American woman to receive a pilot's license. And very active pilot. She did phenomenal things as an aviator. And she was rolled out this year. But the American Women's Quarters program was a program approved by Congress as well. Started last year, where we rolled out the first 5 women. And then this year, we're rolling out Bessie first in January. And already we have produced 300 million quarters featuring. And anyone who's interested that's attending the World of Money Fair, we have the quarters available at our booth.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So, do we know who the next ones?
Yes,
You already have
the next 4 women are Edith Kanaka-Oli,
Mm-hmm.
who is a Hawaiian composer. And then from there we have Bessie, I said Bessie Coleman already, but Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh, yeah.
Eleanor Roosevelt, while she was the First Lady, she's being recognized on the quarter for her work in human rights. And Jovita Idar, who was really interested in making sure that Mexican Americans had freedoms and rights in the United States. And from there, Maria Tallchief, who was the first prima ballerina.
That's right, and
Native
she's going to
American.
appear on yet another one. right?
Yes,
Is that right?
she is the 5th of this year's series. And we just announced next year, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So and it seems to be very popular as well.
It is a very popular program, just the amount of interest. For example, last year, Dr. Sally Ride, who was the first American astronaut, female in space, one of the things we did is there was a school in Maryland named after her. And we partnered with the school in early January, and we rolled her coin out in April-May timeframe. And we worked with the school. Every student in the school from pre-kindergarten through the 5th grade drew what they thought would be a coin featuring her.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, and we unveiled the coin, gave every student a coin board with the various quarters for that year.
Yeah.
And it went over so well, and the kids got really excited because, as you know now, as part of the numismatic and collecting community, we really want to reach our youth.
Yes, and you can see that on your website as well, that you're really going into that direction. And I mean, it is very important because collectors are getting older. You know,
That's right.
It's a changing field.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have to stay current with our youth, most definitely.
Next to coins like that, you also have a bulk or a bullion program. Can you, the Eagle, the American Eagle?
The American Eagle is our flagship program that's been around, very popular with a number of people, and especially with collectors, very popular. And the American Eagle is something that we're very proud of because, as you know, that's featured on a number of our coins. Yeah. So we, once again, it's coming back this year, and we're excited about that program. We're also excited because Congress also approved 2 new commemorative coins, one featuring Harriet Tubman, and that, as some may know, she was an abolitionist that assisted slaves in their path to freedom.
Right.
And then the second is what we refer to as the Greatest Generation, and it is recognizing the World War II memorial that was opened in Washington, D.C. a few years ago. Absolutely breathtaking and stunning, and the connectivity when you see the memorial is overwhelming. The only other time I can remember just really being that close to the feeling of what they may have gone through is when I visited Pearl Harbor.
Okay, yeah, that's...
So very touching,
Yeah.
and just the sacrifice that generation made just really makes you want to say, we're very happy to recognize them.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a little personal anecdote. My husband is American, and his grandfather, he took part in D-Day. So when I met him, and then I'm the German, from the other side, and so
Yes.
it's really quite something.
Yes, it is.
To,
Yes.
to see that going.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, I think we did a little overview of the products of you. I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully see you again next year.
Yes, we are very pleased to have come back. We've been, because of the pandemic and prior, we're back, and it's been such a wonderful fair, and we're enjoying it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And we're back with the Mint of Thailand, the Thai Mint. Is
Yes.
that correct? Yes.
The Royal Thai Mint.
The Royal Thai Mint. And please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Chutima Siprajaya. I'm the National Treasurer and Mint Management Advisor to the Treasury Department. The Treasury Department oversees the Royal Thai Mint, the Currency Management Bureau, and the National Treasury Bureau. So we oversee all the mint production, distribution, and the sales.
The sales.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. When we, we have also images from your stand and a few products. But why don't we talk about the currency, the change in the mint design in 2018 when Thailand had a new king?
Yes. Since the death of our king, our beloved king, in 2016, and it took us a couple of years, and we minted the new series in 2018 with the portrayal of our new king, the King Rama X.
So are the old coins still usable, valid, or?
Yes, we're co-circulating coins of both reigns, both King Rama IX and King Rama X.
And you also produced a medal for the coronation of the new king?
Yes, we produced 2 medals, one silver polished and copper polished coins, bronze polished coins, commemorating the coronation of King Rama X on 4th of May 2019. And apart from the medals, we also have commemorative coins, being gold proof, silver proof, and 20 baht. Actually, we had a platinum coin, a platinum proof coin, which was sold out.
Oh, was it probably a very small mintage?
Yes, very small, just 100, 105, I think.
Yeah. And they were all sold out right
Yes,
away?
we were sold out right away.
Okay. And then you also have, do you have commemorative sets?
Yes, we have commemorative medals, which is one of our innovation, because apart from we're very famous for our coins that are handmade. As mentioned, the silver and bronze medals for the coronation, we use our skilled workers to polish the coins manually.
Oh, they're hand polished.
Yes, they're hand polished. Yeah. Very rare. Yeah, for right now, for in this day and age.
Yeah.
And so with that, and plus with the innovation nowadays, we try to come up with a new shape for our medals. So with our 160th anniversary of the Royal Thai Mint in 2021, we produced this commemorative set, which consists of 5 coins. 5 coins, 4 coins being a triangle shape, and the middle one is a rectangular shape.
Yeah.
Right, and it was all joined together, and it on the reverse side of the coin, it replicates the mints that are mint because we have 5
you were
mints,
in different
mints.
Yes, I think I saw that on your website.
Right,
Yes. Yeah,
because our first mint was located within the royal, within the Grand Palace during King Rama the fifth. I'm sorry, King Rama the Fifth. King Rama the Fifth, and we've relocated to our current location, which is the 5th mint. So we have five locations replicated into the medals.
Into the medals.
Yeah.
So it's just to show the the 160 years.
Yes, years of the Royal Thai Mint.
Yeah, that's right. In your role, do you actually have, do you see coins every day? Do you also go to the is the production site where you are located as well, or are they separate?
Well, we have the Royal Thai Mint where we produce. We previously, our organizational structure, we have two senior officers overseeing it. Our Deputy Director General will oversee the Royal Thai Mint. And in my case, I'm the advisor, so I oversee the Currency Management Bureau, which oversees the distribution of the coins throughout Thailand, and the National Treasures and Museum Division, where we come and exhibit our coins, and we sell coin products.
Yeah. And have you been to the fair in Berlin before, or is this your first time?
Yes, I was here 4 years ago. That was it.
The last one?
The last
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was here during that year before COVID.
Yeah.
It was the World Money Fair is an amazing fair where everybody in the coin business, from the upstream into the downstream, and it's very it's a great experience for me.
Yeah.
I get a lot of knowledge
for us too, as organizers, and to meet everybody and be able to have everybody in one place. Yeah.
And coming from Asia and to see all the new innovations from the various mints, it's breathtaking. Yeah.
Great. Well, I hope you will continue to have a great time, and thank you so much for your interview.
Oh, thank you too.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yes, and now we have the Indian Mint. To be precise, what's your official name?
It is Security Printing and Minting Corporation of India.
Yes. And you are the Director of Finance?
Yeah, I'm Director of Finance as well as Director of Business Development.
Okay, well, welcome to the fair. And this is your first time at the fair?
Yeah, this is the first time that we are participating here as an exhibitor. Though earlier our officers have attended this program, but as an exhibitor, this is the first time that we are here. And I'm really very happy to be here.
Okay, so you've enjoyed your time so far?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, connecting with everybody else.
Yeah, correct. It is providing a whole ecosystem for the minting business. And that's why we are coming to know a lot of new things, whatever is there in the market, in the world. And a very new design, new packing, new machineries, everything. Lot of new things, lot of things to learn. It's a good learning for us.
Yeah, and I mean the whole business is shifting because some people are not using coins as much anymore, right? And
Very
all that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
is that true for India too?
Yeah, it's absolutely true for India because of the increased digitalization, the indent of the coin has come down like anything. People are not using. Most of the time, because of the COVID, there was less usage of cash, and it further impacted because of the digitalization. And that's why there is more emphasis, there is a less usage of coin. And we are also feeling, because we have got 4 mints in India, very, very big mints are there, very old mints are there. And even we have modernized a lot by putting the Schuler machines, etc., very high-speed machines.
Yeah.
But because of the less indent, now our focus is on the non-coinage activity. And here at the fair, we have got a lot of fair idea about this non-coinage activity.
Yeah.
It's an excellent thing.
So one great issue that we can talk about is commemorating the 75th year of independence for India. Tell us about this.
Yeah. And I am really very proud to tell you that India has been celebrating the 75th year of independence. And just to commemorate this event, it's a very important event in the India's life. Then last year, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, he launched the whole set of new circulation coin. It's a new Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav for all the denominations from rupee 1, 2, 5, 10 and 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the circulation coins. Though for the last more than 60 years, you can say, we have been coming out with the commemorative coins, and there is a policy of the government of India to issue the commemorative coins to commemorate any non-living person, any event, or any institution.
Okay.
If the institution or there is an important event some time back, say 50 years or 100 years or 150 years or 400 years or 500 years, just to commemorate that event, we are coming out with the commemorative coins. But because Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, this is a very, very special occasion for all of us, and that's why the government has decided to come out with the circulation coin on that event.
To put it everywhere so everybody can
so
have
that
it.
everybody should have it,
Yeah,
feel of a special coin.
And was it a one-time issue, or is it going
still,
on to
still we are, because the whole celebration is still there in India for 75 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is for the 75
So it's
weeks.
still going on.
It's still going on. It's still going on.
That's great. But you also have other commemorative sets.
Yes.
Lots of them. What are the latest that you have issued?
Recently, this IIT Roorkee is there, IIT Roorkee, and then Lucknow University, Delhi University.
Yeah.
Because every time then, ISKCON's founder Prabhupada is there, then Jain Muni Acharya is there. Because number of coins, Ramchandra is there. The number of coins we are coming out every year.
Yeah.
Because India is such a big country,
Right.
big diversity, this big culture, very, very old culture, lot of heritage is there. And that's why every time that we are coming out with very good proposals, and then the government is accepting those proposals, and we are the only authority in India which can issue the commemorative coins.
Oh, okay. So you suggest and do you have artists working, or do you have in-house people working?
There is a committee on the commemorative products, and it is under my chairmanship only. And we have got very, very high dignified people on that. Historians are there, sculptors are there, and some professors are there. Then just keeping in view the various events in the future,
Right.
we compile a list on which the commemorative coins can be issued. And normally on the basis of that list, we submit it to the Government of India. And once it is approved by the Government of India, then we issue the coins.
Okay.
This is the whole process.
This is the whole process
Yes,
going
this
on.
is-
Okay.
And sometimes even the organizations can also approach the Government of India. Like this Interpol, we have issued the coins, Central Bureau of Investigation, or this National Cadet Corps, NCC. And now I am also very happy to tell you that a G20 event is going to happen. Now India is the chairman of the G20.
Oh, okay.
And we are also coming out with a special commemorative coins on the G20.
When is
Very
this going to be? What year?
Yeah, it is going to be released perhaps in the month of February only, in the last week of February.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
this year, soon
Yeah,
coming out.
this year.
Okay, okay. Next to coins, do you also produce medals? And in what capacity?
Yes. Whatever medals are given in the Army, Air Force, or the Navy, or all the police authorities, and whatever civil awards, like it is Padam Shri, Padma Bhushan, or Bharat Ratna, all these medals are produced by us only.
Okay, this is you're the authority on
We are the
producing
only
these.
authority.
Yeah, okay, great.
Because it's a Government of India mint, and we are only owned by the Government of India, and that's why all these medals are produced by us only.
And how old is the Indian mint?
Pardon?
How old is the mint?
We have got 4 mints. Mumbai mint is more than 200-year old. It was established in the year 1813.
Okay, yeah.
And even the Calcutta mint also, that is also very, very old, but not at the same place. And then we have got the Hyderabad mint. It is again more than 100-year old, but at a new place, it has been shifted just 25 years back only. And the latest mint is the Noida mint, which is nearby Delhi. It was established in 88.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
1988.
yeah. And what
In
are
all the 4 directions, north, west, south, and
Oh,
east.
okay.
Yeah.
And what are some numbers on the since India is such a large country? How many? Can you say how many coins you issue every year? Is that possible?
Earlier we have been issuing around 10,000 million coins a year. Because you know that we have got a population of 1.4 billion. But over a period of time, the indent has come down, and sometimes it is 6,000 million, sometimes it is 3,000 million or 1,000 million.
Yeah.
And because of the COVID, because of the more digitalization, now the demand of the coin is less. But still, it is a cyclic thing. Perhaps in future, it can increase further.
Okay.
Yeah, that we don't.
Well, thank you so much for this overview, and especially about the 75 commemorative coin for the independence. That
And thank you very much. I would like to thank this Berlin World Money Fair, which gave us a lot of insight and lot of whole ecosystem is there. And I really wish all the best to all of you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
And we're back with the Croatian Mint as our guest at the table here. There's lots of things we're going to be talking about. And first, maybe you can introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about your function at the Mint, and then we'll go into details.
My name is Ella Gens. I'm the brand manager of the Croatian Mint. I've been here for a couple of years, and it's been quite challenging.
Especially the last few years, probably. Yes, we'll get to that.
Yes.
How about you?
My name is Goran Paladin. I'm director of production in Croatian Mint. Been for the last 5 years.
Okay, so you have lots of experience and
Some. I mean, compared to other people from the minting industry,
yeah,
not that much.
Okay. Well, in order to say goodbye to the kuna, which used to be your currency, we're going to start there. You issued a set called HUM and the Vizhnjan, I'm sorry for my bad pronunciation, Observatory. And it's the smallest coin, the smallest gold coin. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, this is a fantastic gold numismatic set of the two coins. The 1 ounce gold coin with the motif of the Vizhnjan Observatory. It's one of the top 5 institutions in the world for monitoring near-Earth objects. Okay. So it's a really respectable institution. It's in the Istrian Peninsula, and very close by is Hum, the smallest city in the world. It has this title, has had it for several decades.
So it's in a Guinness book, or?
No, it's not in the Guinness. It's just, it started to be branded as the smallest city, and then it's actually called this way for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
And the Hum coin is 1.99 millimeters in diameter and only 0.05 grams in weight. So it's definitely smaller and lighter than the Swiss mint coin that was issued a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So it makes it the smallest coin in the world currently, and we're very proud of this.
How did you package that? I mean, this little one probably gets lost easily. Does it come?
Yes,
with
it's in a capsule with a foam, so it's quite secure. And we have a really, really nice packaging, especially developed for our mint by a very well-known Croatian packaging designer. It's a box that contains a pair of gloves and a magnifier, so you could really take a better look at the small coin. And with LED lights symbolizing the night sky. So we wanted to kind of combine this all together. And these two places in Istria, which are really special with this design of the packaging and making a real experience for the collector when he opens the box, follows the steps, sees the lights, puts on the gloves. And it's a really, really fantastic experience.
How many sets are there? Is it a limited edition?
Yes, it's a really small mintage, 199 pieces, and they were sold out in 27 hours. So.
Oh, okay, they're already sold out.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
But you have one with you at the stand, which we were able to film.
Exactly.
So, okay.
Yes, the one exhibited here is one of our archive examples, so you can see it, and the rest is sold out.
Do you think you're going to produce more, or
no?
No.
This is it.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a goodbye to, so to speak, to the kuna, and now you have the euro. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, tell us. Maybe we'll start. When did you start making euros?
Exactly 18th of July last year.
Okay.
So there is a set, time period, fixed deadline. It's always 1st of January of the year of introduction, and that's when we started.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about the different reverses that we can find?
Yeah, well, every Euro nation has its own national site, so it can pick up to 8 different designs. So some have one, some have well, several. We had we're settled for 4. It's Glagolitic script and historical script of Croatia in the 1, 2, and 5 cents. Then it's Nikola Tesla on 10, 20, and 50 cents. It's Animal Martin on €1. And it's a map of Croatia on €2.
Okay. And for the €2, are you going to be issuing commemorative coins this year or next year? Or is there any-
This year we are going to start. We don't know yet what the motives are going to be.
Okay.
But I hope that we are going to pick something exciting so that the people can enjoy them well in Croatia and elsewhere.
That's, yeah, yeah. Do you, as a mint, also produce medals?
We do produce medals.
Commemorative stuff? Yeah.
Yes, yes. So the
Yeah.
whole range of commemorative coins and circulating coins, and also non-coins, so medals, plaquettes, pins sometimes, and similar.
Yeah, yeah. And is this but this is not the first time you're at the fair?
First time exhibiting.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
exhibiting. Yeah.
Before we were just visiting and walking around, making contacts. But
Yeah,
now this is our first time with a booth.
And drawing inspiration for small coins.
Yes.
Yeah, have the Swiss contacted you about that?
No, not yet,
No,
not yet.
okay.
Unfortunately, I haven't met them here this year. I kind of missed them, but a couple of years ago, during the technical forum, it's when we saw their presentation of the smallest coin, and we were just sitting there and just telling ourselves, we can do better than this. So,
Quite a challenge.
Yes, it was a challenge, but a nice one at that.
Who designed it? Was it a designer of the mint or? Okay.
No, not the mint.
No, not. We have we collaborate with a couple of young sculptors now. So it's Ana Divkovic, the author. She's like around 30 years old, and the Višnjan coin was also designed by one of our younger authors, Nikola Vudrag, who designed the Dalmatian dog as well. So it's their joint collaboration.
Okay. And what do you actually see on the small coin when you?
You see the entire city.
Yes.
That's
really
because the
small.
idea was put the entire smallest city in the world on the smallest coin in the world.
Yeah.
And when we started talking about the motifs and the artists, we sent them all to Istria for an inspiration tour, to
Yes.
see the sites live, to meet with the leader of Višnjan Observatory, talk with him, drew some inspiration there, and I have to say that I'm impressed how these young artists took all of these inspirations in and then produced these really, really beautiful coins.
Yeah.
Yes, we did also drone photographs of whom for her to have a complete view of the city. And on the other side, there's a motif of the Istrian cattle, Boshkarin, which is also on the door handle of the small city. So she got everything
Wow.
on the really, really small diameter.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
And is there anything else for this year that's going to be coming? I mean, but it's probably enough for now to have the Euro coins coming in. And
Well, no, there is a whole portfolio of commemorative programs. Ella, you can
Yes,
explain a bit.
we still aren't able to announce the whole issue plan like
Sure.
other mints, but we hope that there will come a day when we will be able to say, okay, we're issuing this in this quarter.
So we'll keep checking
Yes.
the website.
Yes,
and
from now on it's just product by product as it is being launched and sold.
But regular programs throughout the year.
Yeah. Okay, great.
So different gold, silver, different sizes. With the new denominations, first time in euro. So I guess that the appeal could be greater than it was for the Kuna
Yes.
products. Now we're part of a bigger family.
Yeah, that's right. Well, again, congratulations.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you so much for this insight and the little details about these coins. And yes, enjoy the rest of the fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm welcoming employee of the Mint of Poland. It's going to be our last interview for today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the fair and welcome to Berlin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Agnieszka Zganiacz. I work in the Mint of Poland. I work since 2006, and now my position is I'm director of Foreign Trade Department.
Oh, the Foreign Trade Department.
Foreign Trade, yes.
And I can also, we visited your stand yesterday, and we took some images, and we could see a lot of the coins that go with your department. So maybe tell us something about the wizard coin, which looked very intriguing.
Yeah, the wizard coin, we just prepared a sample for this fair. So it has two stones for each side, which has transparent printing, and then we can it's shining in the darkness.
Okay.
And it's techniques, medal techniques, in very high relief, and it will be packed in a frame and special certificate. So it's the second coin with the series.
Oh, it's a series. Okay.
It's starting from alchemic coin, and it's the same. We inspired it based on this first coin.
Okay. And who did you produce it for?
We produce for our clients, for our distributors, all over the world.
Yeah.
And it was our idea in our department. We sometimes we had some kind of brainstorms, and then we think about new subjects, what could be interesting for our clients.
Yes, okay. Another coin that I found very interesting is the Evolution coin, which is also featured in your program here, because it also includes artificial intelligence.
Yes, and we add also 3D insert. Our colleague, he's specialized in such inserts, so he produced it specially for us. And yeah, it's a modern topic, and I think that we do the same.
Yeah, and is it out already? Is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but we started.
And how many of these? No, these are very special coins. What's the mintage of those?
The mintage, usually we do a mintage 500 pieces.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's limited, and we sort everything with such mintage. So we know that will be we have got some feedback from our clients, so that's why we don't want to produce more than 500.
Yeah. Have people called back and be like, oh, you have to produce more?
Sometimes we have such voices, but then we know that it won't be such successful when we produce more than
Yes, of course. Yeah.
It has more valuable for our clients.
Another coin that I'd like to ask some question is about a Polish icon, Chopin. You have a bullion coin in gold. Yes.
We have started last year with this bullion coin. First coin was gold, and now we'll be announcing also silver bullion coin. We know also that bullion is very popular now, and we want to, as a mint, we want to have something special which will be common with our country.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So yeah, we produce Chopin coin, bullion coin.
And does it come just in gold, or is there also a silver edition?
Gold and silver edition will be.
Yeah. And okay. And the first one, what was the first one again? I didn't catch that.
First one is Chopin. We just launched it.
Oh, okay.
Chopin.
I thought there was one before that. No. Okay.
We produce also in our mint. We produce gold bars.
Oh.
And
I think there are some at the stand, some small ones. Is
yes,
that right?
yes,
okay.
small.
Yeah.
Small and bigger one.
Yeah.
We took only here the smallest, for to show our clients that we can produce only custom minting. If some from our clients wants to buy or has some ideas about new subject or designs, we can also do it together.
Yeah. And the Polish mint itself, how long has it been around? Do you know this? I don't want to.
Yeah,
it's a historical question. We had.
Mint of France was established in 170 1070,
Okay.
100. So it's a long tradition.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have almost 270 years. Of course, we didn't produce coins for this period, but
Yes.
yeah, it's a very long tradition.
A very long tradition.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And we have only one mint in Poland.
Okay. So one production site.
Yes, we produce coins also for National Bank of Poland, circulation coins and collector coins. And we also produce for circulation coins for foreign banks,
Yeah.
national banks, central banks. So we are developing every year. We are trying to do something new.
Yeah. 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 Is this your first time at the fair?
No.
You've been here before.
Yeah, I've been here before.
So good. Did you have a good time? Did you
Yeah, we
like to
enjoyed it.
connect
Yeah,
with people?
but after 3 years,
Yeah, I keep hearing
first
that.
time.
It's just yeah.
So it's good that we could come here to one more time.
That's right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for this overview.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and enjoy the rest of the fair.
Thank you, and nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
See you next year.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Walking, I keep walking in a deep blue sea.
Diamonds, what you're worth. Rubies, beautiful black queen. You're the light in my eyes. See just how you gleam. Baddest chick in the room. When you step out on the scene, you are. Do you remember? Diamonds, what you're worth. Rubies, beautiful black queen. You're the light in my eyes. See just how you gleam. Baddest chick in the room. When you step out on the scene, you are.